Have you ever felt a connection so intense, so soul-deep, that your first paradoxical instinct was to run for your life? As if a primal part of you screamed in terror at the very person who could unlock the most profound version of yourself. Perhaps you met them, and in a flash of recognition, you knew they were destined to shatter your world and rebuild you in ways you desperately needed but feared. And perhaps that is the exact reason you walked away, choosing the cold comfort of safety over the fire of true evolution. The legendary psychologist Carl Jung unearthed a chilling spiritual truth. Some encounters are not meant to bring us peace, but to wage war on the lies we tell ourselves. They are designed to confront the hidden, shadow parts of our being. When this happens, our first reaction is not love, but rejection. We flee from what our soul craves, driven by the terror of an ego desperate to maintain control. Now, you might be left with a silent spiritual wound, a constant, aching question of what if that haunts your quietest moments. But what if I told you that rejection, that agonizing separation, was not your greatest mistake, but your most sacred initiation? Before we unlock this life-altering truth, I need to ask you something important. A huge number of people who find healing and answers in these videos are watching without being subscribed. If this message is already resonating deep within you, please take a single moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Don't let an algorithm keep you from the wisdom you're searching for. And as we begin, press the like button to signal that you are ready to receive this knowledge. Then do one more thing for me. Comment below with the city or country you're watching from. I want to witness just how far across the globe these powerful teachings are traveling to connect with souls like yours. In the minutes that follow, we will decode the devastating consequences for your body, mind, and spirit when you deny a twin flame connection. But more importantly, you will discover the hidden, sacred purpose behind the pain. By the end of this video, you will understand that even the deepest separation holds a powerful, divine key to your ultimate spiritual growth. Stay with me, and let's turn that haunting question of what if into the empowering answer you've been waiting for. For Jung, the idea of soulmates or twin flames was not just romantic, it was deeply psychological and spiritual. He believed that certain people come into our lives as catalysts for what he called individuation, the process of becoming truly who we are. But here's what most people don't understand. Your twin flame is not necessarily the person you're going to live happily ever after with. It is the person who will activate in you the most intense process of self-knowledge and inner transformation you can experience. Jung spoke of the concept of anima and animus, the male and female counterparts that we all carry within us. When we meet our twin flame, we are not just meeting another person, we are encountering the mirror of our own soul, the external projection of what we need to integrate internally. That's why the encounter with a twin flame is so unsettling. It's not just attraction, it's recognition. You look at this person and feel a familiarity that transcends any shared experience in this life. It's as if your soul whispers, "I've known you forever." But this recognition is accompanied by a terrifying realization. This person has the power to show you who you really are, and we're not always ready to see our truth. Jung observed that our souls know things that our conscious mind does not yet accept. When you meet your twin flame, something deep inside you knows that this connection will require you to abandon false versions of yourself, to face fears you'd rather ignore, to grow in ways that will hurt before they liberate. And then the conflict arises. Your soul longs for the connection, but your ego panics because the ego lives to keep things predictable, controllable, safe. And there is nothing safe about falling in love with someone who has the power to transform you completely. The twin flame is not the easy love. It's the love that forces you to evolve. And evolving always hurts, because it means leaving behind who you thought you were. So why do we reject something our soul desires so much? The answer lies in the complex dance between our deepest impulses and our most primitive protection mechanisms. The first reason is the fear of extreme vulnerability. With your twin flame, you can't keep masks on. Jung spoke of the persona, the edited version of ourselves that we present to the world. But in the presence of your twin flame, all personas dissolve. You feel completely naked, emotionally and spiritually speaking. This level of transparency is terrifying for someone who has spent their life learning to protect themselves through control, emotional distance, or the performance of being someone they are not. When you can't hide, the only option seems to be to run away. The second reason is what Jung called the resistance of the shadow. Everyone has a shadow, those aspects of ourselves that we deny, repress, or reject. Your twin flame has the unique ability to activate your shadow, forcing you to confront parts of yourself you'd rather keep hidden. Perhaps you see yourself as a rational and controlled person, but your twin flame awakens an emotional intensity you didn't know you possessed. Or maybe you pride yourself on your independence, but this connection reveals a need for intimacy that contradicts your self-image. The shadow emerges, and with it all the discomfort of discovering that you are not exactly who you thought you were. There is also the fear of wrong timing. We often meet our twin flame when we are not ready, when we are in other relationships, in moments of transition, or simply have not yet developed the emotional maturity necessary to sustain this level of connection. Jung understood that the unconscious has its own timelines that do not always coincide with our conscious plans. Your soul may be ready for the encounter, but your practical life may be completely unprepared. And then the impulse to postpone arises, to wait for a better moment that may never come. Another factor is the fear of intensity. The connection with a twin flame is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It's not just love, it's spiritual fusion. It's not just attraction, it's cosmic magnetism. This intensity can be so overwhelming that it seems easier to deny it than to learn to navigate it. And then there is the deepest fear of all, the fear that if you surrender completely to this connection, you might lose yourself in the process. There is a difference between transforming for love and dissolving for love, and we don't always know which of the two will happen. All these fears are valid. All these fears are well-founded, because the truth is that connecting fully with your twin flame will indeed transform you irreversibly. The question is, do you have the courage to become who you really are? When you reject your twin flame, you are not just refusing a person, you are refusing a part of yourself. And the universe, as Jung well observed, does not usually accept this refusal silently. The first consequence is what we can call emotional phantom pain. Just as someone who loses a limb continues to feel pain where it used to be, when you reject your twin flame, a part of you continues to feel the absence of that connection. It is a constant, dull ache that you cannot fully name. This pain manifests in peculiar ways. You may find yourself thinking about this person at random moments, not necessarily with longing, but with a strange restlessness, as if something important is unfinished. You may dream of them repeatedly, waking up with a feeling that something significant happened, but without being able to fully process what it was. Jung would explain this through the concept of psychic energy. When such a deep connection is formed and then abruptly cut, the energy that should flow between two people becomes dammed up inside you. This energy needs to go somewhere and often manifests as unexplained anxiety, restlessness, or a constant feeling that something is missing in your life. On a physical level, rejecting a twin flame can generate symptoms that doctors cannot fully explain. Heartaches that do not have a cardiac origin, a feeling of tightness in the chest that is not common anxiety, exhaustion that does not improve with rest, insomnia without apparent cause. The body, which Jung knew to be deeply connected to the psyche, reacts to the energetic rupture. Some people develop what can be described as split self syndrome. You feel as if a part of you is always somewhere else, connected to someone you chose to leave behind. It is a feeling of incompleteness that has nothing to do with codependency or neurotic need. It is literally the perception that a part of your essence is living in separation from you. On a mental level, rejection often leads to what Jung called autonomous complexes, patterns of thought and feeling that operate independently of the conscious will. You may find yourself comparing everyone else to your rejected twin flame. You may develop an inexplicable resistance to deep connections with other people, as if part of you is protecting a space that belongs to someone who is no longer in your life. There is also the phenomenon of persistent synchronicity. Jung observed that when we deny something that the unconscious considers important, the universe insists on reminding us through significant coincidences. You may start seeing this person's name everywhere, hearing songs that make you think of them, or encountering signs that seem like direct messages about the connection you rejected. But perhaps the most profound consequence is spiritual. When you reject your twin flame, you are essentially rejecting a call from your soul to evolve. And the soul, in the Jungian perspective, does not give up easily on its goals of growth. You may begin to feel spiritually stuck, as if your journey of self-discovery has stagnated. You may lose interest in activities that once inspired you, or feel that you are living on autopilot, disconnected from your deeper purpose. Rejection can also activate old karmic patterns. If you chose to run away out of fear, that fear may intensify in other areas of your life. If you reject it out of pride, that pride may become an even greater obstacle to authentic connections. What you avoid facing in one situation has a habit of returning in even more challenging ways. But Jung always emphasized that there is no suffering without purpose on the path to individuation. The pain of rejection, however intense it may be, carries within it the seeds of the transformation your soul seeks. The pain of separation from your twin flame is not just suffering, it is spiritual labor. Jung understood that some types of pain function as an alchemical fire, burning away everything that is not essential in you and revealing what truly matters. The first stage of this process is what Jung called nigredo, the dissolution. Everything you believed about love, about yourself, about what is possible between two people, begins to fall apart. You may feel lost, confused, questioning everything you thought you knew. This dissolution, however uncomfortable it may be, is necessary. It's like breaking a vase so that the plant inside can grow beyond the limitations of the original container. During the nigredo of separation, you are forced to confront your deepest fears about intimacy, vulnerability, and transformation. Without the presence of your twin flame to blame for the intensity you feel, you must take responsibility for your own capacity to love deeply. You need to recognize that the intensity was within you all along. The second stage is the albedo, the purification. After everything has fallen apart, you begin to rebuild your identity based on who you really are, not on who you thought you should be. The pain of separation teaches you about your own strength. You discover that you can feel intensely and survive. You can break and put yourself back together. You can love deeply, even when it is not reciprocated in the way you expected. This phase often brings a deeper understanding of the nature of unconditional love. When you cannot possess your twin flame, you are forced to learn a way of loving that does not depend on physical proximity or guarantees of reciprocity. You learn to love someone's essence regardless of having access to the person. The third stage is the rubedo, the integration. Here, the pain of separation transforms into wisdom. You understand that the encounter with your twin flame, even if it lasted only a moment, has already fulfilled its main purpose: to activate within you capacities for love, intensity, and authenticity that you did not know you possessed. The separation teaches you that the real treasure was not in the person themselves, but in what they awakened in you. The external connection was just the trigger for an internal reconnection that was waiting to happen. Your twin flame was the mirror that showed you parts of yourself that needed to be recognized and integrated. During this process, many people report experiences that Jung would call the transcendent function, moments in which seemingly irreconcilable opposites unite in a higher understanding. You can simultaneously feel gratitude for the encounter and peace with the separation. You can deeply love someone who is not in your life and feel complete nonetheless. The pain also teaches you about the difference between attachment and true love. Attachment needs to possess, control, have guarantees. True love can exist regardless of proximity or reciprocity. When you learn to love your twin flame without needing to have them, you develop a capacity to love that extends to all your relationships. Jung observed that we often need to lose something to truly understand its value. Not its external value, but its value as a catalyst for internal growth. The loss of your twin flame can teach you more about love than 1,000 successful but superficial relationships. There is also the phenomenon of generational healing. When you learn to process the intensity of the twin flame connection in a mature way, you are breaking karmic patterns that may have affected your lineage for generations. You are learning to love without possessing, to connect without losing yourself, to be vulnerable without victimizing yourself. And then, something miraculous happens. The person who emerges from this alchemical process of pain is fundamentally different from the one who entered it. You become someone capable of recognizing authentic connections, of nurturing true intimacy, of loving from abundance instead of need. The pain of rejecting your twin flame is not the end of the story. It is the means through which you become worthy of a love that was previously beyond your capacity to sustain. Even when you consciously choose to walk away from your twin flame, the universe has its mysterious ways of keeping the connection alive. Jung believed that certain connections transcend the decisions of the conscious ego, operating on deeper levels of the psyche. The first sign that the connection persists is the continuity of synchronicity. Even months or years after the separation, you continue to encounter coincidences that make you think of this person. Jung did not see these synchronicities as chance, but as evidence that something significant continues to move on the unconscious plane. It might be a song that plays at the exact moment you are thinking of them. It might be finding objects that remind you of them in unlikely places. It might be strangers who, knowing nothing about your story, make comments that seem to refer directly to your situation. These synchronicities are like messages that the connection has not really been cut, only changed frequency. Another sign is what Jung would call compensatory dreams. When you consciously reject something important, the unconscious often compensates through dreams. You may dream repeatedly of your twin flame, but the dreams have a different quality. They are not romantic fantasies, but deep, symbolic communications. In these dreams, you might be doing mundane things together, talking, walking, simply existing in the same space. Or you might be participating in symbolic scenarios, where you work together to solve problems or overcome obstacles. Jung would interpret these dreams as evidence that the connection continues to operate on an archetypal level, regardless of physical separation. Some people also report subtle telepathic experiences, moments when they clearly feel that the other person is thinking of them, or when they have sudden insights into the distant twin flame's emotional state. Jung was open to these possibilities, especially between people with deep psychic connections. There is also the phenomenon of parallel evolution. Even separated, you and your twin flame may go through surprisingly similar growth processes. You may become interested in the same spiritual themes, go through similar personal transformations, or develop insights about life that mirror each other. It's as if, even at a distance, you continue to mutually influence each other's development. Some people describe a constant sense of presence, as if a part of their twin flame is always with them, offering silent support during difficult times, or celebrating personal achievements. This presence is not fanciful or obsessive, it is comforting and stabilizing. Jung would explain these phenomena through the concept of the collective unconscious. When two people establish a connection at the archetypal level, they begin to share a space in the collective unconscious that transcends physical and temporal limitations. The separation in the physical world does not necessarily break this deeper connection. There are also subtle changes in your ability to connect with other people. After experiencing the level of intimacy possible with a twin flame, you develop a greater sensitivity to recognize authenticity versus superficiality in your other relationships. You may become less tolerant of connections that lack real depth, but also more capable of creating genuine intimacy when it is possible. Many people report that after the twin flame experience, their other relationships improve qualitatively, although quantitatively they may decrease. You learn to value connections that feed your soul instead of simply filling time or social needs. There is also the phenomenon of unconscious preparation. Even while consciously rejecting the connection, you may find yourself making changes in your life that would prepare you for an eventual reunion. You may invest in your personal growth, work on patterns that would sabotage a deep relationship, or create space in your life for something significant. All of this without consciously planning a reconnection. The most interesting thing is that these signs often intensify at times of transition in your life, when you are going through important changes, making significant choices, or going through periods of accelerated growth. It's as if the connection with your twin flame serves as a spiritual compass, helping you navigate through the necessary transformations. The deepest truth that Jung teaches us is that some connections transcend the limitations of the ego and external circumstances. Even when we choose to walk away, the bond at the soul level continues to operate, influencing our growth and preparing us for future possibilities that our conscious mind cannot yet imagine. The journey through the pain of rejecting a twin flame eventually leads you to a place of radical acceptance. Not just acceptance of the separation, but acceptance of the divine purpose behind the whole experience. Jung understood that individuation, the process of becoming who we really are, often requires us to go through experiences that we initially perceive as losses, but later recognize as essential gains. Rejecting your twin flame can be one of these transformative experiences. The first step in healing is what Jung would call the integration of the shadow. Accepting that you rejected the connection not out of weakness or inadequacy, but because at that moment, it was the most honest choice you could make. Maybe you weren't ready for the level of transformation the connection would require. Maybe there were lessons you needed to learn on your own before you could sustain such an intense union. This acceptance removes the guilt and self-punishment that can keep you stuck in cycles of pain. When you stop judging yourself for the choice you made, you create space to understand the wisdom behind it. Sometimes, rejecting our twin flame is an act of self-love, a recognition that we have not yet developed the capacity to nurture something so sacred. The second step is to recognize the growth that happened through the pain. Jung always emphasized that there is no suffering without purpose on the soul's journey. The pain of separation forced you to develop emotional and spiritual muscles that you might never have developed if the connection had been easy. You learned about your own resilience, discovered that you can feel deeply and survive. You developed understandings about love that go beyond need or possession. You cultivated a capacity to be alone without being lonely. All of these are precious gifts that emerge only through the alchemy of conscious suffering. The third step is the practice of radical forgiveness. Not just forgiving your twin flame for any pain they may have caused, but forgiving life for not allowing the connection to develop in the way you expected. Jung knew that anger against fate is one of the most subtle forms of resistance to spiritual growth. Forgiveness, in the Jungian perspective, is not forgetting or minimizing the pain, but integrating the experience as a necessary part of your individuation process. It is recognizing that everything that happened and everything that didn't happen contributed to who you have become. The fourth step is to develop gratitude for the entire experience, including the pain. Jung observed that our wounds often become our greatest sources of wisdom and compassion. The pain of rejecting your twin flame can give you a unique understanding of human suffering that allows you to help other people through their own difficult journeys. There is also the work of recognizing that the connection with your twin flame fulfilled its main purpose, even though it was rejected. The encounter activated within you capacities that would have remained dormant without this catalyst. It awakened levels of emotional and spiritual intensity that are now a permanent part of who you are. Jung spoke of the opus contra naturam, the work against nature that is necessary to transform the personality. Sometimes going against our natural impulses, like the impulse to merge with our twin flame, is exactly what our soul needs to grow in unexpected ways. Complete healing often includes a fundamental shift in your relationship with love in general. You stop seeing love as something that needs to be captured or held, and start seeing it as a force that flows through you, regardless of reciprocity or physical proximity. You develop the ability to love purely, without agendas, without expectations, without the need for return. This transformation is profoundly liberating. When you don't need to possess the object of your love, you can love it with a purity that was previously impossible. You can wish the best for your twin flame, even if it doesn't include you. You can feel gratitude for the connection, even if it didn't develop as you expected. The final stage of healing is what Jung would call the transcendent function, the ability to hold opposites in creative tension without needing to resolve them. You can simultaneously love your twin flame and be at peace with the separation. You can feel longing and gratitude at the same time. You can desire reconnection while fully accepting the present situation. This ability to hold paradoxes is a sign of deep spiritual maturity. It is the difference between being at peace despite the circumstances and being at peace through the circumstances. And then something surprising can happen. When you reach this state of radical acceptance and deep healing, you may discover that the universe has plans that your conscious mind could never have imagined. The journey through the pain of rejecting a twin flame, when navigated consciously, prepares you for possibilities that were previously beyond your capacity to sustain. Jung understood that some encounters can only happen after both people have completed certain phases of inner development. Sometimes the initial rejection was not really rejection, but divine timing. You both needed to go through specific growth processes before you were ready for the intensity of the true connection. The temporary separation may have been exactly what was needed for both of you to become people capable of nurturing something sacred. During the years of separation, not only did you grow, your twin flame was also going through their own journey of individuation. The same fears that made you run away may have been operating in their life in different ways. The pain of separation may have catalyzed growth and healing that were necessary for both. When two people reconnect after completing individual processes of healing and growth, the quality of the connection is fundamentally different. It is no longer the desperate intensity of two halves looking for completeness, but the abundant celebration of two wholes choosing to create something even greater together. Jung observes that authentic relationships are only possible between people who have at least partially completed their individuation process. Before that, we tend to fall in love with projections, with the image of what we need, instead of the person who is really there. The mature reconnection with your twin flame has specific characteristics. There is less drama and more peace, less need and more conscious choice, less fear of loss and more trust in the bond that transcends physical circumstances. You meet not as two people desperate for salvation, but as two complete souls ready to co-create something significant. This reconnection can also happen in ways that defy conventional expectations. It may not result in a traditional romantic relationship, but in a spiritual or creative partnership that serves a greater purpose. Jung understood that not all soulmate connections are destined to be expressed through a loving relationship. Some exist to serve spiritual or creative goals that transcend personal preferences. Even if a physical reconnection never happens, the inner work you did to heal the pain of separation prepares you for authentic connections with other people. You develop a capacity to recognize and nurture true intimacy that enriches all your relationships. Jung always emphasized that the ultimate goal of individuation is not to find the perfect person, but to become the complete person. When you complete the inner work activated by the experience with your twin flame, you naturally attract relationships that honor and celebrate who you have become. The most beautiful truth is that the connection with your twin flame, even if it lasted only moments, has already planted seeds of transformation that will continue to flourish for the rest of your life. You will never be the same person you were before this encounter. And this transformation is the real gift, regardless of where the external relationship may lead. In the end, your twin flame came not to be possessed, but to be recognized. It came not to fill a void, but to activate a fullness that already existed within you. And once that activation has happened, you forever carry the capacity to love and be loved in ways that transcend ordinary limitations. The rejection of your twin flame was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a journey that led you back home to yourself in ways that no external relationship could ever have provided. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this content resonated deeply with you. Maybe you are living the pain of a twin flame separation right now. Maybe you are questioning choices you made in the past. Or maybe you are beginning to understand that everything that happened and everything that didn't happen was part of a larger plan of growth and transformation. Jung taught us that there are no coincidences, only synchronicities. The fact that you found this video, that you stayed until the end, may be another sign that the universe is conspiring to help you understand and heal. The pain of rejecting your twin flame is not punishment. It is initiation. It is the alchemical fire that burns away everything that is not essential in you, revealing the truth of who you really are. It is the process through which you become worthy, not only of your twin flame's love, but of the unconditional love of the universe. Remember, you are not late. You have not lost your chance. You have not made wrong choices. Everything you have lived so far has been preparation for who you are becoming. And the person you are becoming is someone capable of loving and being loved in ways that were previously beyond your imagination. The inner work you do to heal the pain of separation is sacred. Every moment of acceptance, every act of forgiveness, every conscious choice to grow through pain instead of running from it. All of this brings you closer to the truest version of yourself. And when you truly become who you are, the universe responds in miraculous ways. Maybe your twin flame will return when you are both ready. Maybe you will find other forms of love that are equally transformative. Or maybe you will discover that the most important connection has always been the one you have with yourself. As you stand here now, at the end of this journey, you must understand that you have been given the key. The spiritual solution you felt today is not just an idea. It is a seed of immense power planted within your soul. Carl Jung knew that this path of individuation, of becoming whole, can feel intensely personal, yet you are never truly alone in it. At the deepest level of existence, we are all connected. The healing you commit to today doesn't just liberate you. It sends a powerful ripple of healing across the entire collective consciousness. Your courage to face the fire of separation is a silent inspiration to countless others. If this video has awakened the truth within you, I want you to anchor it right now. Go to the comments and write this powerful, simple declaration. My transformation begins now. Let this be a testament to your decision. As you do that, press the like button as a final seal on your commitment to your own growth. A staggering number of people who find life-changing insights here are not subscribed, and they risk missing the next crucial piece of their puzzle. So, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications. What we've uncovered today is merely the foundation. Our future explorations will delve into mysteries even more profound, and you will want to be here for them. The great search is over. Your twin flame, whether physically present or as a sacred memory, has fulfilled its highest purpose, to shatter your limitations and force you to awaken the unconditional, limitless love that was always your birthright. That is the love that truly transforms your world. The journey into your power continues, and I will see you in the next video, where we will explore the even deeper territories of the human heart.